Hello students. So how I'm gonna be taking you through how to do data flow diagrams using Draw.io, right? So when you open Draw.io, you're gonna get something like this, right? So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna click on create new diagram, right? And then here you're gonna get something like this. So here, this is where you're gonna name your file, right? So let's say I'm choosing to name mine dfd underscore c, right? And then now I can create, right? So make sure you choose a blank diagram here, right? And then you create, right? So here you're gonna get a different set of a different set of more modules, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't get them, right? Maybe you don't have the ones that I have here, right? But what you're gonna do is that you're gonna go to more shapes, right? And first make sure you uncheck everything, right? Make sure that everything is unchecked, right? So you can check the proper modules, right? So now once you are sure that everything is unchecked, right, I want you to select specifically two modules, right? So the first module that you're going to select is under standard, right? So it's called general, right? So general, you have these shapes here, right? And then you're gonna go down under software, right? You're gonna select data flow diagram, right? So you're gonna so you only check two boxes, right? Data flow diagram and general, right? And then you apply, right? So now these are the modules that you have here, right? So now after you have these modules here, right? You're gonna expand on the data flow diagram, right? And then let's close this one, right? So now these are the shapes that you need to draw data flow diagram. So if you want to represent an entity, right, you're gonna use this shape here, right? Or if it's an external entity, you're gonna use this shape here, right? And then you have your data stores. So this is a data store with an ID, right? So you can put your ID here, right? And then you can and then you write what's the data store for here, right? Or you have this data store, which is a data store, a normal data store. This is also a data store, right? And then this is where you put in your process, right? So now I will take you through an example, right? So I just want to delete everything here. And then, so now let's say you have designed your DFD, right? And you are trying to put it on to Draw.io, right? So now, as you can see here, we have a process, right? So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna go get this here, right? And then you can expand it however you want, right? So this is too big. Okay, I think this is fine. And then now, since here it's labeled 0, right? So you just label it 0. I think because it's a level 0 DFD. But now, if you like now you try and type here, as you can see, you are missing up the top, right? So what you do is that now you go to general, right? And then you look for text, right? And then you take text, you put it here, right? And then now you fix it again, make sure it's expanded to your liking, right? And then under text, now you can write align reservation system, right? So you can write align reservation system, right? And then now if we go back into the diagram, it has travel agent, right? A travel agent is represented as an external entity here, right? So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna close general, go back to data flow, right? So you can represent it in two types of ways. So you can have this or this, right? So now let's say So you can delete this, right? So for entity, you can use the shape, right? So now will we add so travel agent, right? So you put in you just double click here and then you type travel agent, right? And then now, as you can see from the diagram, there's a connector arrow going out here into here, right? So what you do is that you click on the shape here, right? So you're gonna see these dots and then you're gonna start dragging into here, right? And then you're gonna move this arrow like this to here, right? And then now you can, for you to write this, right, preferences and available flights, right, you just double click and then you write preferences and is it and available flights, right? So you can just, after you are done typing, you just move this a bit to the top so it doesn't interfere with your line, right? And then again, there's another connector arrow that's showing the ticket information, right? So what you do is that you start dragging, you click on travel agent again, and then look at these boxes, and then you start dragging from here back to here, right? And then now you drag this line and then sorry about this. So you click on here, right? And then you start dragging back to here, right? And then now to make sure that you fix your line, you start dragging this like this. So I think that's okay, right? And then now for you to label ticketing information, just double click here, right? Ticket information, right? And then again, if you want to move this, just drag it to the side like this, right? And then your other entities, it's airline and passenger, right? So you get like the airline here, right? And then this is for the passenger, right? So just gonna label this passenger and then this airline, right? So now the passenger sends in a travel request, right? So which means you're gonna have an arrow. So you just click on the shape here, right? And then you drag straight to here, right? And then you make sure things properly aligned. And then now you insert a text, which is travel information. Information, right? And then you drag this a bit to the top, right? So it doesn't interfere with your line, right? And then last one is passenger reservation. Then again, you click on this shape and then you drag to here, right? And then it's gonna be passenger reservation. Passenger reservation, right? And then you drag it a bit to the side, right? So now this is your data flow diagram, right? But so these entities, right, they are supposed to be represented using this shape here, right? Since they are the passenger, the airline, and the travel agent external entity, you're supposed to use this entity here, right? So you can just, it works the same as this one, but this one is used to represent entities that are from within the system, right? But I wouldn't penalize you if you use this, right? But you can also use this, is also correct, right? So this is how you draw an entity, sorry, a data flow diagram, right, using Draw.io. So, and then one other important thing that I'd like to emphasize, right? So after you are done drawing your diagram, right, you can just go here, right, to save it, right? So you come here, right, and you say file, and then you say export, right, and then you export it as PNG, right, and then you export, right, and then after you export, let's say I choose to export to my videos, right, and then I save, right. So now if I go to my videos here and look for the file, I labeled it DFD, this one, right, can get my entity diagram as an image, right? Or another way to save is that I can come here, okay, right, and then I can save as, right, then I can, let's say this time I'm saving to my music, right? So now you want to change the save file type as, and then you're gonna say PNG, right? And then, so now if I go to my music again, I can find this file as an image, right, that I can now post to my, I can post to my Excel or Word, like depending on the instructions. So don't mind it being black, right? So this is being affected by my laptop Steam, right? So if I go to settings, okay, so now if I change the theme personalization, right? Okay. No, this is fine, like, right. So if like I'm able to change the theme for my laptop, this image will become white. So in your lab computers, I think if you save it the way that I just showed you now, it should be white throughout, right? So this is only happening on my PC because I chose a dark theme on my PC, but on the lab computers it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be completely white, right? So anyhow, so yeah, that's how you design a data flow diagram using Draw.io. And be aware, if you're using data stores, they work the same way. You just put it in, and then you click on it, and then you drag the arrow back to the system, right? Say now, for example, right, let's say you wanted to have an arrow, right, that's a two-way error, right? So let's say the passenger inputted the travel information, and then there was a response going back to the customer, right? So now you can't drag from here to that side. So now you have to get an arrow like this, right? And then you flip it like this, make sure it's completely at a 90 degrees, right? And then you input it here, right? And then now you can drag to right side. So now you have a two-way communication, right? So, and then you label whatever this is, right? So what I'm referring to in a case is something like this. If you had a two-way information bridge, right? Something like this, or something like this. Yeah, something like this, right? So now if you've already created one arrow going that side, right? You creating another arrow that goes this side, you can't create it by touching and dragging. You have to pull it out here, rotate it, right? And then place it here, and then drag it to the other block, box or entity or whatnot, right? So yeah, I hope I was clear, and that's how you develop data flow diagrams using Draw.io, right? And don't forget to save. Okay, thank you for your time.